Welcome, everyone. This is Alex Cook from Wealth with Purpose, and you're on Vision Christian Radio on our regular weekly program, Ask Alex. And thanks for being with us today. And today I have the pleasure of interviewing Ross Piper from Christian Super. Ross is the CEO of Christian Super and has been doing that job now for a couple of years and is helping them grow in leaps and bounds. So thanks, Ross, for being with us today.
Pleasure, Alex. It's great to be able to join.
Excellent. Look, today we're talking about impact investing. For those of you who listen to our program regularly, you know I'm passionate about good stewardship of Christians with their money. And so today we're talking about how you can invest, but invest for impact. And so Ross, I'd like to get you involved straight away on this. Impact investing, what is it?
Yeah, so you would have, it's increasingly getting publicity. It's a growing area. Impact investing really refers to an investment strategy that is aimed to not only generate a strong financial return, but also deliver a positive societal or environmental outcome. That's really what it is in its simplest term. There's a bit of technical stuff about what you would call an impact investment, but that's really what it's about, generating good returns, but also a positive impact for society or for the planet.
And I assume it's a challenge to measure that as well, too. I mean, the financial return side of it is a more obvious one to measure, but the actual other things may be a bit more challenging, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, that's going to depend on the type of investment and where is it located? What's the change that you are seeking to hopefully see happen through the investment? But there's a whole body of work that's been done to get to strengthen the way the impacts are actually measured and hopefully reported through to the folks who are investing the money. That's clearly important to them, along with the financial returns they can achieve. Fantastic.
And so tell me, why should Christians be considering impact investing?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, look, as a superannuation fund, I mean, we have a real conviction that the community of faith Christians should be on the front line of redemptive change in society. And our real conviction is that institutional capital or capital can serve a redemptive purpose, not only to generate, again, strong financial returns, but equally to see that money placed in projects or investments that are very closely tied with the things that we hold dear as Christians. So investing your money in line with your values and beliefs, we think that involves not only not seeing your money sitting in the negative industries or destructive industries, but actively targeting things that are good. And we just think that's deeply aligned with our faith and who we are as stewards of the capital that we happen to have.
So it's like a sort of almost positive form of capitalism in a way. We're sort of saying that, yes, we still need to make a profit. You know, you've got to make a return, but we can also do a world of good at the same time based on our...
Absolutely. And I think it's really important to note that impact investing comes in many different forms. For us as a superannuation fund, it's our members' money, and it's not about charity. We're investing this money for market rate risk-adjusted returns. That's really important to note. That's our role as a superannuation fund. There are other types of impact investments that may have a lower level of return, but will still be delivering an impact. And so you might have philanthropists or individuals who just want to invest their money and get some return, but not necessarily a market rate of return. All of that can be captured or defined as an impact investment. But as I say, for us, we think the two, strong, positive societal or environmental change and driving strong financial returns are absolutely compatible. You don't need to trade off one for the other if you get the investments right.
And would you say the same about risk? You know, is the risk any different with impact investments, or is the risks potentially greater?
That's a great question, and really depends entirely on the type of the investment. For us, so we have about $2 billion of funds under management, and about 10% of our portfolio sits in what we call an impact investing asset class. Now, from a risk standpoint, those assets have actually a very low correlation with the rest of our portfolio. What that means is, from a pure investment strategy standpoint, that makes good sense, because if you have a diversification in your portfolio, that's really important. For us, we need to consider investments really carefully, both from a geographic standpoint equally just from a viability or a business standpoint. And of course, you're always going to be very carefully considering the risks inherent in any investment that you're going to make. But I don't think risks in impact investments by definition need to be any greater or lesser than other investments. It's probably just a different type of risk that needs to be considered.
It's great. Look, I love the idea that it sort of adds to the diversification in your portfolios. I mean, there's a great passage, I believe it's Ecclesiastes 11:2. It says, invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8, because you do not know what disaster may come upon the land, which is pretty apt Bible passage, I think, for the last 18 months that we've had go by. So
yeah, look, absolutely. And again, we think not only do we believe that it's important for us as Christians to be investing our money carefully and in line with our values and beliefs, we have a firm conviction that it simply makes good investment sense to have diversification in your portfolio. And we believe that if you get the underlying investment right, you can have very significant, strong financial returns, but in some great businesses that are just driving really strong redemptive change in all sorts of interesting parts of the world.
Yeah, that's great. And so that just on the return side of it, do you believe you can get comparable returns to just ordinary, secular type investments? Would we assume that you could in the majority of cases, so long as you've done your homework, so to speak?
Look, the answer absolutely yes, although there's some complexity to get it right, and not every investment is going to be suitable for us, for example, as a superannuation fund. But we have a firm view that with the right selection of investments, the market rate risk-adjusted return absolutely can be comparable, and in many cases stronger than that which you might get in let me call it a mainstream investment. But it all depends on the underlying investment, and as I say, critical that you get that right.
Fantastic. And just on the impact that you can make. So if I'm a Christian, I'm listening to this at the moment, I'm thinking to myself, I love the sound of it. What kind of difference can I make? What's the kind of impact that we're seeing? Some of the things, I guess, that you've seen through your portfolios. The kind of difference we can make.
Yeah, look, so we have a global portfolio of impact investments. So sitting across a very broad range of geographic contexts, developed markets, emerging markets, but also in sectors such as microfinance, socially affordable housing, renewable energy, or simply we take a private equity position in businesses that are led by Christian entrepreneurs that may be delivering technology services or something like that in various parts of the world. So it's very broad. And I think, again, depending on the investment itself will largely determine what's the nature of the outcome. But if we think about across our global portfolio, there's remarkable stories of transformation happening every day. And our members, our superannuation fund members, I think can rightly be proud of what their money is actually doing. We know that our job is to help our members retire with the best possible financial outcome at retirement. But we believe you can do that in a way that still sees your money invested, as we said, that capital can play a redemptive purpose if it is invested well.
Fantastic. And just thinking about impact investing in terms of accessibility, how easy is it to access an impact investment? If I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, well, where do I get started on this? What's the ways I can access this kind of thing? So I assume it does require a degree of specialty skill.
Yeah, it does. What I would say is that the market is growing and maturing in a rapid quantum year on year. And if you look at even the statistics of the capital that's invested for impact in Australia or globally, every year, very, very significant growth. So what that means is you've got more and more product coming to market. And whether that's about superannuation funds like us who are saying, we think this is really important for our members in the way that they want to see their money invested, but equally just a number of, retail offerings. And you've got a number of funds that are emerging or launching because they recognise that there's increased market demand for these sorts of products. And so it's a maturing market. It's growing. It still has a lot of headroom to expand further, but there's a number of, as I said, both wholesale and retail opportunities that are growing all the time, and a number of other super funds who are starting to talk about impact investing. And again, we celebrate that because we think the more capital that can be deployed in this way, it's good. It's good for society. It's good for the planet. And we think as people of faith, we want to be catalytic. We want to be on the front lines of the growth of that market.
Yeah, no, and I think that's exactly right. We need to be on the front lines. As Christians, we should be leading the way and showing what the good stewardship of God's resources can be, as part of our witness to our hurting world, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Look, Ross, it's been fantastic to talk to you today, and some really great insights there. So look, we'd love to have you back sometime, and thanks for being with us today.
Thanks, Alex. Always happy to participate.